TikTok targets random people, and you have that ability to go viral and be seen by people who have never seen you before, where Instagram is more of a community. Welcome to Life Unleashed,
the podcast all about creating the best life for you and your furry best friend.
If you're a dog mom on the go, juggling life, work, and the endless joys of being a dog parent, then you're in the right place. I'm Dani.
And I'm Nick.
And together with the incredible dog mom community from Tails Up Pup, we're here to share advice, stories, and the obsession we have over the love for our dogs.
Get ready to laugh, learn, and lean on each other because life with your dog just got even more awesome.
Welcome back to the Life Unleashed podcast. Today we're talking about something wild that we didn't think was going to happen.
I thought this was going to happen. I've been following this in the news. We're talking all about the TikTok ban that is coming up. I don't know what their timeline for actually banning it is, but I'm pretty sure it passed the Senate and the House, so it's happening.
I've seen a lot of creators talking about it, so I figured it's our turn to talk about it too. If you have followed Tails Up Pup for a while, if you follow us on TikTok, we have over 154,000 followers on TikTok. That is significantly more than we have on our Instagram, our Facebook, anywhere else. That is where the most amount of followers that we have is. So I figured we would talk about how this is going to affect our small business. Would it affect us enough that we would have to go out of business? Are our sales going to go down? All of those things. So we're going to talk about it.
I also want to talk about how we think it's going to affect the whole small business landscape in general.
Yeah.
So I think this will be applicable to other people as well, not just our story.
Because spoiler alert, it will not make us go out of business, but I could definitely see how it could for other people, and especially like creators who, fully rely on TikTok itself. So I'll start with why the answer is no for us.
Okay,
so if you have been following our TikTok for a while, we started TikTok in 2020? Because the pandemic happened, people were using TikTok a ton, and I did not get it at first, but it was pretty quickly after where I was like, okay, you know what? I am going to hop on the bandwagon.
Did you start it as like a user before, or did you like become a user and using it for like the business? Like, were you consuming content on it besides business purposes first?
Well, I always say every time I'm scrolling on TikTok, it's for business use because I'm generating ideas.
Well, that's now, but like, how did you, like, I feel like TikTok came out of nowhere. At least it felt that way to me.
It didn't though, because it was Musical.ly. It was a different app beforehand.
Well, that's what I mean. It like came out of nowhere. It was this different name, and then everyone's talking about TikTok all of a sudden. I'm like, oh my gosh. But you're saying that like it had a user base beforehand, so it's not like it actually came out of nowhere.
Right.
When the name TikTok started being used, it was like already had this,
they
big
already
group
had users and people who were famous on there. I've always been someone interested in videos, photos, and social media. So I was like a big girl in Vine. I never created any Vines.
R.I.P. Vine.
But I did
Vine
enjoy.
Was so funny.
And there was a different app where you could like make funny videos but for yourself. And I used to make those with my friends a lot in high school, where you're like, it was basically like TikTok. Like there were viral sounds that you could like make a video to. Maybe you could post. I don't remember what it was called. But
I wonder, is there any correlation between like Vine and TikTok? So Danielle,
yes.
Well, what I was going to say is like Vine was one of those things that everyone was like, there is no way that it will go out of business. Vine is not going to go anywhere. Everyone's saying that. And Danielle, you can tell them what you think about TikTok.
Yeah, I don't think, the TikTok ban was passed, so something's going to happen. There's going to be some change, but it's hard to imagine that it would just completely vanish. I think that someone will either buy it or create their own version. And I mean, Instagram has already tried to really create their own version with Reels. So I don't know if Reels will be the thing that ends up taking over and being the main video platform, or if someone will still come in and try to create a new version of TikTok. But people are always coming up with new apps.
But like, is your thought that TikTok in some form is going to stay around? Because
I don't know. If someone bought it, then it could. But if it does go away, then I think someone will try to create a version of it that would take place of it.
Yeah, I mean, Vine, I really thought back when I was watching, I was like, everyone uses this and like everyone talks about Vine, like how could it go out of business? But then like it seemed like overnight it was gone.
I feel like TikTok has a lot of like monetary value in it more than Vine. I don't
like they figured out a way to make money.
Yeah, a lot of people make money on it, and I think TikTok makes a lot of money through those things. So I think that probably has a difference than like Vine.
I wonder if someone buys it and is running it, they're not going to be able to keep all the exact same tech and stuff that like the algorithm that TikTok currently has, because if they're forcing a sale, I don't think that like the company's going to sell every part of it. So it's going to sell its US part. And then by that very nature, it'll have to be different, right?
Yeah. And the algorithm is what makes it so special.
Right. So if the algorithms change, is it going to be like, oh man, TikTok was great before, but now like it's just not that good?
Yeah. Because my Instagram Reels does not have the same algorithm that TikTok has. TikTok knows me to my core.
Yeah, but maybe that's because they're spying on you. Maybe they have. I think that's part of one of the reasons why the government has passed this ban, is I think that like it's a little bit more intrusive to your phone and all the stuff that it's tracking than I think the government. It's creepy. Yeah, I think.
I kind of like it.
Well, you like what it's like putting out to you.
Yeah, I do. Okay, to answer your question, I don't know if I started as a user or a business thing, but it was very quickly one and the same for me, because quickly we started creating videos for Tails Up Pup, and it was, I forget what, later, it was like November of 2020 when we had our first like actual viral video. And that's
right.
We, once we gained traction, we definitely continued on that trend for quite a while, almost like 2 years. We spent a ton of time. Basically, my full-time job was creating content, not just for TikTok, also for all the other platforms. But we had so much like time and money in the game for these like creations that these videos that we were creating, that we had to put that much effort into it. And then I feel like the biggest change that we saw was when people started going back to work and using social media less in the day. Things like that was like one of the first shifts. But then the second thing was when TikTok Shop came into play. And all of a sudden it was like, you're going to have to pay to play on the app, which was very different than like having all this organic following beforehand. And for us, we are a business account, so I feel like they target business accounts to try to have to pay to get your things viewed. And so we decided to join the TikTok Shop because we felt like we were almost like forced into it. And that worked well for us for a while too. And then all of a sudden it just completely dropped off. And I actually ended up leaving TikTok Shop. And, I feel like overall TikTok fizzled out for us before this ban ever occurred.
Well, one thing that was very interesting for us, and it definitely was not this way on Instagram, we got a lot of very quick validation on TikTok. I feel like pretty early on to being involved with the app. Like I remember with Instagram, it felt like it took a long time to get to 1,000 followers and really any traction on Instagram. But with TikTok, it really felt like after a month or two, we had a viral video. It wasn't that long that we were posting, right?
It was a few months, yeah.
A few months, but we just grew a lot faster, it felt like. We had that feedback a lot quicker on TikTok than on Instagram.
The way that I explain it to people when people are always asking us for advice on growing on social media and different platforms and things. And I explain it as TikTok targets random people, and you have that ability to go viral and be seen by people who have never seen you before, where Instagram is more of a community. People have to find you, choose to follow you, and they are there because they want to be there.
And that's because the TikTok For You page is really like all of that is pretty much random people, right? That's no one that you're following.
But with that comes a lot more hate. On TikTok, there's random people who will just comment crazy things because they don't know you, they don't care about you, and they're just scrolling and they're being trolls.
Yeah, and I feel like on Instagram, when you go on there, you'll see random people, and I feel like I see more and more random people these days, but you're still seeing the people that you follow.
Yeah.
Like always when you log on.
So for us, we really saw this change happen beforehand, and we have stopped putting efforts into TikTok overall. I barely ever post on TikTok. And another thing, when I'm talking to someone about growing on social media, I always tell them to pick one platform that they want to do really well and put all their efforts in there, because if you try to do everything, you're going to end up doing nothing well. So you have to find where your target market's going to be and what platform is most important to you and start there, because there's so many things: Pinterest, TikTok, Instagram. Even these random apps, like I think Lemonade is probably still an app that people use, but like we haven't been on that in so long. So picking one and doing it well. So we ended up saying, okay, we're putting all of our efforts into TikTok, these random people, and we were not seeing as big of a benefit from the algorithm as we once had. So we decided, you know what? people who care about us are on Instagram. Our community is on Instagram, and that's where we've chosen to put all of our time. But if you are creating a piece of content and you have the time and ability, all you have to do is create that one photo or video, and then it sounds easier said than done, but you can post it on all the platforms, and then you have a bigger reach. However, like even someone like me, who this is my full-time job, I still somehow don't have enough time to every time I have a video post it on all the platforms, because it is time consuming, even though you just had to do it, create it once, and then blast it everywhere.
And it does feel like a little bit like with Instagram, you said it's more people that care. That content is speaking more to them, whereas like TikTok, maybe it needs to be a little bit more like speaking to the random person.
Yeah. So then, we realized, okay, well, we can't actually create one video and blast it everywhere because
it just doesn't do as well.
Yeah, you had to create content with specific purposes. But now I feel like the content we create for like Instagram Reels would thrive on our Pinterest and our YouTube Shorts. And so for the most part, I feel like what I'm doing now is I am focusing obviously on Instagram, but specifically Reels. In the past month, we've really tried to tackle Reels, which I hadn't put any effort into Reels for a while. And then I also cross post probably I don't know, a handful of them. I was going to say half, but I probably don't even end up putting half on it on YouTube Shorts.
I feel like a lot of the people that we talk to, though, it's very like TikTok is still very alluring because they want that. I got one piece of content that I can post and it can go viral. People just, I think, and it's probably true, that happening on Instagram is a lot less likely than it happening on TikTok even still.
Yeah,
so
it's so hard on Instagram to go viral.
So hard. And I feel like people a lot of times are like, it's almost like a gambling mentality of like, I would rather put my time into TikTok. This maybe before the ban, but I don't know how people are feeling now. But putting so much time into this TikTok because of the possibility of a massive payoff.
Yeah. And I think that the concept of going viral is misleading to a lot of people, because in reality, if you go viral one time, those people probably aren't going to hit the follow button because they don't feel connected to you. Some people will because they find it funny or entertaining or whatever it may be, but most people probably aren't going to follow off of one video. And you're only going to make sales if that video had anything to do with a product of some sort. Because if we went viral for telling a knock joke, people are going to be entertained, but they're not even going to know we sell anything. Where if we go viral showing how we make a bandana, then that might encourage them to go buy something. Because we've had viral videos on all the different types of content, and the ones that bring us sales are the ones that are about a product, but all of our funny or entertaining videos barely ever have brought us sales.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like this. On one hand, you have the really hard, long-term, slow community building work, and we feel like that's happening for us on Instagram. And then the other side, it's still a lot of hard work, but you're kind of like swinging as hard as you can at the pitches, trying to hit a home run. Yeah. And you might strike out a lot, but everybody wants that home run, wants that glory moment. But I mean, I think that's good advice. What you were saying is like, even if you do hit the home run, you're going to get that high right away, but after that, it's like, well, how did that actually help you?
Mm-hmm. I also was going to say, I don't know what's going to happen with TikTok itself, but I do think that Instagram will try to snag the people and really promote Reels and get these creators to post on Reels and get people to watch more Reels. I feel like we're already seeing a change in that, but I think they're going to put even more efforts into that.
Yeah.
So if you are a creator or business owner, really trying to find a way to succeed on Reels, and really by succeeding, just posting more content that's good content. And now I feel like is the time. Like I said, we put Reels off for a while. Reels have been around now for at least a year.
Well, one thing I know that this goes for every single platform. You don't want to totally play to the algorithm, but I think bigger trends as an example of you're thinking that it seems clear on Instagram even now before this TikTok ban thing that they're pushing Reels more. And I agree. I think that they'll probably try to scoop up a bunch of the TikTok customers or whatever by pushing video and Reels even more. So if you know that, maybe you should put a little bit more effort into Reels, because let the algorithm help you. Let it whatever the algorithm is pushing, if you can have content that is relatable to that, it's just gonna, push you to the top a little bit easier.
I don't know if this is an us thing or an everyone thing, but a while ago, a lot of people were telling us, my posts aren't doing well. I have to post it on Reels, blah, blah, blah. And we didn't see that change. And in the past, even 3 weeks, we have seen that change so drastically. Instagram is not even that people aren't enjoying the photos we're posting. Instagram is not showing the photos that we're posting, but the Reels are being seen by everyone. And stories, I also feel like stories are dwindling into something that people aren't as interested in. And I don't know, is it that people aren't interested in it, or is Instagram not promoting stories like they used to?
Well, here's a question. Is Instagram in danger of becoming like TikTok was and not going to be the place for community anymore?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because it's really hard to build a community if your stuff is not being shown to the community that has chosen to follow you.
Yeah.
So it's because, everybody has busy lives. We have shorter attention spans. So you may not remember and go seek out something all the time. But if it's right there for you, you'll engage with the community. But if it's not showing it.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy to see what Instagram chooses to do with all of this happening with their competition.
Yeah, I do wonder, in the world, there's all these ripple effects. So I wonder what the long-term consequences of the TikTok ban are going to be.
Yeah, I feel like even on my personal Instagram, I'm seeing a lot more random people. It used to be random people always on your Reels, but even on my feed now, I'm seeing random people. And it's interesting because I had spent a lot of time looking for pregnancy announcement photos, and now that's all I get. And I'm like, come on, that was a few months ago now. Can you show me some new content? But it's still hounding me, showing me all these other people's pregnancy announcements, which are cute. But I'm it just chose one thing, and that's what it really thinks that I love now.
One thing that I've also noticed, I'll see if you've noticed this too, the quality of content, particularly on Reels, on Instagram, has gotten so much better in the last few months. I feel like it's I'm seeing people that is so high quality stuff. Have you noticed that? It's everybody's stepping their game up, I feel like.
Well, the TikTok hasn't banned me yet, so I don't spend that much time on Reels, but you spend a lot of time on Reels.
Yeah, definitely more than I don't have a TikTok. So.
Yeah, Nick doesn't use TikTok. I still am a TikTok girl, and I will use it until they kick me off.
Yeah, I feel like the quality and just everything, the production quality seems to have gone up a lot on Reels. I'm like, wow, people are putting a lot more time and effort into this than I feel like.
Do you think that
just
they're
a few months ago.
Still using a phone to record? Are we going to all have to move to cameras and be that legitimate, or will phones still be fine?
I think that people are probably still using phones. Definitely I think I'm seeing more cameras, but I just feel like the audio, so maybe people are using more microphones. The lighting's really good. Just the captions, it's they've spent time. These videos have been edited in a software. This is not just a quick and dirty, edit on your phone in 2 seconds type of thing. They put it into application, whether it be Premiere or CapCut or something, and they spent a lot of time making this 1 minute video or something.
The other reason that the TikTok ban isn't going to affect us financially is because we were never a part of the creator fund. We never were paid by TikTok to do anything. Not only TikTok, but any brands. So everything that we were creating for ourselves, which really allows us to hold on to that monetary value because we were in control of everything. But if you were relying on the app or on brands on the app for your payments, then you would definitely see a significant shift. And that would be drastic to have this ban happen to you.
Well, similar, I guess for us, it would be very similar if Instagram went away. I feel like that's where our community is. And if Instagram overnight more or less went away, I'm sure we would see a huge impact in our overall business.
Yeah.
Just because that's where we're communicating with our customers and all of that stuff. So I know there's plenty of people that they were doing that on TikTok, and whether it was from random people, their followers, whatever, they had created a model that, was sustainable business on TikTok, whether it was through the creator fund or whatever. And having that go away has got to be really stressful. I know it would be for us with Instagram going away.
So if that is you, or you're looking for ways to expand your horizon, I guess, my advice would be to get your community somewhere else. So
Like try to migrate them over to something else.
Yeah.
And that might be easier now because I think this news is spreading. So maybe people are going to realize, oh, yeah, TikTok actually might be going away. If I like this person, I now have a reason to go take action to follow them on Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube, wherever.
Yeah. And also, like, because you don't own any social media, really trying to get them to like sign up for your email list or come to, I don't know, if you have your own app or whatever it is, having them come to something that you have ability of controlling will allow it that if anything vanished, then you would have a ability to communicate with these people.
Yeah, we're a huge fan of like the email list just because like it's kind of like once you become a friend with somebody or you've put somebody in your community, you want to have their contact information and be able to reach out to them. Imagine if like a different company, a social media company controlled like your contact list in your phone. You'd be like, what the heck? What happens if I want to call so-and-so? I can't have to rely on them. If you have their information, i.e. their email list, you can contact them when you want to and all of that.
It's definitely hard though, because for some reason, well, I guess I'm saying for some reason, I mean, it's legitimate. A lot of people like hound people with emails.
Right.
And so people hesitate to sign up for emails because they're like, well, what am I going to get out of this? So you have to provide why are they signing up for your email list? Are you going to, share your blog post through there, give information or whatever valuable things that you're going to post in your email?
People don't want just to be sold to in their emails.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's something that we're trying to improve on. It's really hard when you're sending out emails as like you want to talk about the products, that the new things that you're excited about as a company, but you also want to provide value and like you said, through blog posts and things like that. So you want to find a balance, but it can be difficult to get somebody to give you their email address.
I think the biggest effect that TikTok has had overall on all people, whether you even use TikTok like Nick or not, we all have been shifted in our brains to have a short attention span.
Oh my God. You were literally, I didn't know what you were about to say, but that is literally what I was thinking, whatever. For some reason, is it the TikTok effect? Could you even call it that?
The TikTok effect.
It has made watching any type of like long form ish content, and I mean that is like in air quotes, that could be like a minute. If you have like a minute on an uninterrupted video that is not cutting and super fast paced and stuff, and you can that is exactly what's happened to Reels. People that are being successful on Reels, the people that were making TikToks and being successful unlock something in people's brains that is like, this is the exact format to keep people hooked and wanting to come back and to watch the whole thing, all of this stuff. You're seeing that happen on Reels now, but I guess it was the TikTok effect. Yeah,
so I think that is something that we need to take with us to succeed moving forward is, creating something that's captivating, that isn't going to be boring and keeps people engaged the whole time. And I think that utilizing that knowledge on a different platform will help you succeed, at least in the short term, because we know what people like. We know why people are on TikTok. So providing that somewhere else will hopefully allow you to succeed.
Okay, I have a theory. Because TikTok was a lot more like people that didn't know you, the barrier to keep that person's attention was higher. So to get a stranger to pay attention to your stuff, you had to be very captivating from the very first second and throughout the video to keep them watching. Instagram, I would say before, the barrier was a little bit less because they followed you, so they probably cared a little bit more. They already trusted you. They were willing to listen a little bit more. But now, if you take that same format, the TikTok format, and put it to your followers, not only do they trust you, but you're giving them an even more consumable kind of, addictive type of piece of content.
Overall, my final thoughts, I feel like, are if you relied on TikTok, if you are a consumer of TikTok, if you enjoyed TikTok, there's so much unknown still. So knowing that probably something is going to happen with TikTok, or someone might take it over, or if not, one of these other platforms is going to try to take the time. Like, where's everyone going to spend their time now?
Yeah, their attention.
Their attention. So it might be Instagram Reels. It might be YouTube Shorts. It might be Pinterest. Probably not Pinterest, honestly, because I don't know how many people watch videos there. But the two platforms that tried to take the audience already were YouTube and Instagram. And so finding a way to create content that will thrive on there is probably your first step in the short term. And just, keeping up with the news and figuring out like what's going on. And yeah.
Scary times out there. The one thing that is so true with social media and particularly just technology in general is it's always changing. Like I said, it feels like within the last few years, TikTok came out of nowhere. It wasn't that long before that Instagram and Facebook came out of nowhere. So this stuff is always changing, and I guarantee you there's going to be another thing that comes out that we're all going to be like, man, how did we not talk about that? It might even exist right now.
Yeah, that's so crazy. And there are going to be apps that try to come and probably fail. And there's going to be things that probably stick around for a while. So there's so much unknown. And we're in a time where people can create apps pretty easily.
Ooh, I have a good thing that just popped in my mind. I think it would be worth, if you are really reliant on TikTok, to maybe go study some of the people that were really big on Vine that were still successful after Vine. Maybe go look at what they did. Did they transition to YouTube?
Ooh.
Did they transition to that? I don't really know any cases, but I think that would be something that,
I'm thinking
if that
of
was
one
me,
off the top of my head.
I'm thinking of like Jake Paul.
Oh.
Like, I know he was big on Vine, right?
Yeah.
And I think he transitioned to YouTube.
Yeah, same with Marcus Johns. He transitioned to YouTube. So
if you're a big TikTok creator, maybe YouTube is your spot, or just
but I don't know. I feel like what we all just said means that YouTube's dying because the attention span. YouTube videos are too long and boring.
There, they got shorts.
They do got shorts. So.
The one thing I also have a theory on shorts, I think that shorts are going to continue to do better because they are very searchable. Because they're using Google's like search engine. You can search for particularly educational content. You can search for that stuff a lot easier than you could on Instagram or TikTok or things like that.
Unpopular opinion, YouTube Shorts needs to be a little bit less shorts because
they should have a little longer. You should be able to post like
90 seconds
at least
because Instagram Reels let you do 90 seconds. So I'm like, come on. I can't even use the same video if it's 90 seconds. And I feel like, but did they pinhole themselves by calling themselves shorts?
What is short? You could make your own definition of short. Short could be 30 minutes.
Okay, if it was a movie. Well, I hope this was effective in y'all understanding the ban, how it can affect small businesses, and hopefully if you're worried about it, maybe we ease some of your nerves. But if you follow us on TikTok and nowhere else, please go follow us on Instagram.
There we go.
At Tails Up Pup, and we are creating some fun reels over there. We've been having a good time. So thank you for following along, being a part of our journey, and we're so grateful for you guys, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.